purpose of this video is to show you how to create a dashboard that could be shown on something like a big screen in a communal area that will automatically scroll through the various results of the dashboard. The scrolling speed can be adjusted by adjusting the slider down at the bottom to make it go faster or slower, and it's this mechanism that I want to show how you can create. So if I just slow it down there, you'll see that it starts to go slower. It's only going to go every 11 seconds it's going to change. It's just changed. If I bring the scrolling speed up a bit, it'll change. I can have it changing every 1 second. So it's firing through very fast. So the purpose of this video is to show you how to create that scrolling mechanism, and also how to use the visibility properties to display these Scotland, England, Wales, Italy flags. First of all, I'll just show you some of the components of the dashboard. The main part of the dashboard is the chart here, which I've renamed as being match results. The data for the chart comes from the area in the spreadsheet highlighted down here, which is column F through to J, and that is the data area. And the two series that are shown is the home side and the away side. The data for the actual chart comes only from this line here, row 1, and the scrolling through is done using an object called the source data 1, this item here, which is a source data object. That object basically scrolls through based on the index, and will pick whichever line the index is at, and the index is getting changed here in this cell D13, and how we generate that index number is all part of this mechanism. But basically the index changes between a value of 1 and 5, and as it changes, the row here, row 0 or 1, 2, is put up there, and that's what drives the chart. The other purpose of this video is to show you how to use the dynamic visibility keys on objects to be able to display the object or not display it, depending on whether the key matches. What I've done here is to create pictures for each of the teams, so Italy, France, etc., and put those into image components. Those components are then put into groups, and the other thing I've done is to make sure that all of the components are matched up and made the same size. So I've done that by highlighting all of these objects and then using these tools up here to align left, etc., make the same size, and also to put them all into a group. And then for each one I have matched the visibility property to the property of the value that's going to appear in according to the selector. So as we scroll through this indexing of the data matches, then the results come up here in either G or H1. So the home side team comes up in G1 and the away side comes up in H1. The properties of each of these then match, so if H1 is equal to England, then the English flag will show. If it's equal to France, then the French flag will show, and so on and so forth. I've just captured the spreadsheet area from the worksheet and put it onto the dashboard so that we can see what's happening for the purposes of the demonstration here. So all I've done is just put a spreadsheet object in there and show it on the chart. I've also had a little checkbox there that again uses this visibility property stuff, so that this spreadsheet is only visible when you check this box, and checking this box show sheet puts a result in the worksheet at cell C3. So if cell 3 equals 1, then this spreadsheet shows. If it doesn't, then it doesn't show. Now I'm going to show you the key part behind this spreadsheet, which is how to generate a timer mechanism that can be adjusted according to what values you put in the slider. So the first thing that I've done is to populate some cells here with a formula using Excel. So this cell here, D7, has a formula which is now, and D8 also has the same formula. So that returns the current date and time, which can be formatted in Excel using either use it as a number or show it as just time, or show it as year, date and time. The next thing I've done is to create a formula which is the start time plus 1 second. So what that does is it takes whatever the current time now is and adds to it 1 second. And then the key part of this is I use this timer mechanism here, or what's called a history object, to create something that will change this value every 1 second. So what I've done is to say, take the data in D6, which is this item here, which is current time plus 1 second, and put the result of that into D8, which is the time now. And I do that every 1 second. So basically, after 1 second, the time moves on a second. This thing will move 1 second at a time. You'll get a warning when you do this, which says insert in selection should not contain cells that have formulas. Ignore this warning and do it, because this is what you actually want to do, is to move the thing around as you go. And the next part of the thing is to then create a loop that works out how much that interval seconds is, how many times it's gone through, and so on. And basically the idea is to drive this index. So the first thing, increment interval in seconds, that value, which is currently shown as 5, is driven by whatever you put on this slider. So the slider here, I've said it can be a minimum of 1 and a maximum of 30, and the data, whatever you choose on the slider, will get written into that cell. That's fairly standard stuff for Xcelsius. Then what I've done is to say, what is that interval in seconds? Because in Microsoft Excel date format, a value of 1 there equates to 1 day. So what I've done is said, right, 5 is divided by 24 for 24 hours, 60 for the number of minutes in an hour, and 60 for the number of seconds in the minutes. So that gives you a value of 5 seconds equals 0.0005, etc. And that value will change as you slide the thing up. So it gets bigger as you move the numbers up. And now then what I do is to calculate the number of iterations. What I'm doing is to say, take the time now minus the time when we originally started. This one, D7, doesn't ever change because it's not being substituted by this loop. So this is the time when we first started running the dashboard. So that remains constant. And then what we're doing is measuring the current time against the time when we originally started, and then working out, when you divide that by the value of the increments, how many times it would have gone round that loop. So this gets counted. If you were running that every 60 seconds, then after 5 minutes it would have gone round 5 times. The next part of it is to work out then how many times it would have gone round this loop, which is the number, however many of these I've got in there. So I've got 6 items in there. So what I'm saying is, if I've gone round here 150 times, then the number of times I would have gone around this loop is 150 divided by 6. And then here I can basically say that the index key for the chart is whatever the value is in here. So in my case where it was 150, it would be 150 minus however many times it's been around the loop, which will always make this number somewhere between 0 and 5. and then as that number changes, each time it goes around every 5 seconds, this number will change. As that changes, these move on one, and that value gets put up to the top there, which drives the chart, and that's how it scrolls around every 5 minutes. And we just see the thing in action now. So putting it into preview mode and then showing the show sheet item to display the worksheet. Now what it shows is the original start time. I started at 22:17:14, and then it's been going round every 5 seconds. So as it goes, this thing is going, start time plus 1 second is moving up every 1 second. This will always go at 1 second intervals, and then it starts to go through here. How many iterations has it gone? So I'm going at every 5 seconds, and the time between 22:18 and 22:17:14 is a full minute now, and in a full minute it's gone through 12 iterations because they're 5 seconds at a time, which means it's now gone around the loop twice. And this number is getting moved on every 5 seconds, and as it moves on, it pushes the result up there. If I reduce the time, all these numbers change because they're all calculated with reference to this increment, and now they're changing every 1 second. And that's how you create an adjustable scrolling chart.